They whispered she couldn't hit a damn thing, that the target needed to be taped to her barrel. They sent her packing, a dismissive sneer her only goodbye. But some stories aren't told with words. They're fired with a single impossible shot. Anya Sharma stood ramrod straight, a quiet storm brewing behind her eyes. Sniper school was supposed to be her proving ground, the ultimate test of her singular focus. She devoured manuals, spent countless hours on the range, pushing her body and mind to their limits. But the unspoken doubt from the cadre, particularly Staff Sergeant Hammer Thorne, was a constant, insidious weight. Thorne, a legend in his own right, had a way of looking through you, assessing, and finding you wanting. His skepticism was a chill that seeped deeper than any mountain wind. Her final assessment arrived, and with it, the 800-meter shot. The wind flags danced a complex, deceptive jig. She read them, she compensated, she squeezed the trigger. The crack echoed, but the bullseye remained untouched. A hair's breadth, just outside the critical zone. Not a total miss, but enough. Thorne's expression wasn't anger, but a grim satisfaction. A silent, damning "I told you so." The dismissal was swift, cold, and impersonal. Specialist Sharma, your aptitude for precision marksmanship is insufficient for this program. You are no longer enrolled. No handshake, no "better luck next time." Just a polite, firm removal. The real blow landed when she walked out. Whispers snaked through the ranks, sharp and cutting. "Guess some just don't have it," one voice muttered, loud enough to reach her. Another, bolder, sneered, "Probably best she goes back to the supply depot. Less chance of hurting herself there." The words clawed at her, twisting the knife of failure. Her hands clenched, white-knuckled, resisting the urge to lash out. Her dreams, meticulously built, now lay in fragments at her feet. She just walked, the taunts a burning brand on her soul, refusing to give them the satisfaction of a single tear. Anya's barracks room felt stifling, the rigid routine of her new assignment a constant reminder of what she'd lost. Her hands, however, remembered a different rhythm, the weight of a precision rifle, the delicate calibration of a scope. The thought of wasted talent, of unfulfilled potential, was a gnawing hunger in her gut. She couldn't shake the feel of a perfect trigger press, the brief, suspended moment before a bullet flew true. Finding respite meant searching beyond the regimented military world. Her beat-up civilian vehicle became her escape pod, taking her far from base, to a desolate stretch of desert punctuated by jagged rock formations. Here, under an indifferent sky, she built her own firing range. No official targets, just rocks and discarded metal, markers for distances only she knew. This was her laboratory, her temple of solitude. She meticulously stripped down her standard-issue rifle, rebuilding it with components she purchased discreetly, each upgrade a personal investment in her craft. Her training wasn't about drills anymore, it was about raw observation. She'd spend hours watching heat shimmer off the ground, how dust devils swirled, how the sun created mirages that played tricks on the eye. She learned to discern the nuanced breath of the wind, not from instruments, but from the slight sway of dry brush, the texture of sand blowing across a dune. Every shot was a lesson. A miss wasn't failure, it was data. She'd meticulously track the impact, recalibrate, adjust her stance, her breathing, her entire being. The desert became her unforgiving teacher, its silence amplifying every minuscule error, demanding absolute perfection. The hours blurred into weeks, then months, each spent honing an instinct, a connection with the rifle and the environment that no formal school could ever truly impart. This was her quiet rebellion, a promise kept only to herself. An unexpected bulletin appeared on the unit's board, a multi-state Army Reserve precision shooting competition. Among the usual categories, a new long-range demonstration slot stood out. Anonymous participation permitted, it read, purely for data collection, not eligible for awards. Anya's heart gave a quiet jolt. This was it, not vindication, not glory, but a chance to show without needing to speak. She submitted her application, using only her military ID number, carefully omitting any identifying details. She desired no spotlight, only the profound, isolating silence that follows a perfectly executed shot. The competition range buzzed with seasoned marksmen, their custom gear and team patches a stark contrast to Anya's understated presence. She wore a simple, neutral baseball cap, her fatigues standard issue, lacking any embellishment. Her M210 rifle, however, was a thing of meticulously cared-for beauty, its customizations subtle but effective. Staff Sergeant Thorne was there, surprisingly, serving as a competition judge. A casual conversation drifted her way. "What's she doing here?" an event organizer asked Thorne, eyeing Anya. Thorne narrowed his gaze, recognition dawning. "That's Sharma, the one who washed out of sniper school. Said her wind calls were abysmal." The casual dismissal, the remembered mockery, hung in the air. Anya caught every word, her expression unchanging. She simply approached the equipment inspection station, her movements precise as she checked her scope's alignment. The final challenge was set at an intimidating 1,547 yards, stretched across a valley, shooting uphill at a steep 15-degree angle. The sun was dipping below the horizon, creating deceptive optical distortions and tricky crosswinds, the perfect storm for a definitive failure or a silent, resounding declaration. Anya settled into her prone position, the familiar cold steel of the rifle a comforting weight against her shoulder. The world narrowed to her, the rifle, and the impossibly distant target. Anya's fingers found the familiar grooves on her rifle stock, her grip firm, almost an extension of the weapon itself. She felt the subtle shift in air pressure, the ghost of a breeze across her cheek, an instinct honed in countless hours of desolate practice. No external readouts, just her profound connection to the environment. 2 barely perceptible clicks on her scope elevation turret, a whisper of a windage adjustment. Her breath hitched, then settled into a slow, deliberate rhythm, each exhale a further release of tension. The distant bullseye, a mere pinprick, solidified in her crosshairs. She inhaled, held, and then, with absolute precision, squeezed. The sharp, concussive report ripped through the range, a singular violent sound. Every head snapped toward the distant target, the collective tension palpable. A fraction of a second later, a tiny, almost ethereal puff of dust erupted directly from the center of the scoring rings. The bullet had arrived. The sound of the gunshot, defying physics in its perceived delay, only reached the astonished observers moments after the visible impact. It was the halt effect, in stark reality, a phenomenon rarely witnessed, signifying a trajectory of perfect, unadulterated precision. A collective gasp swept through the viewing area, followed by a stunned, almost sacred silence. Staff Sergeant Thorne, binoculars still pressed to his eyes, visibly sagged. His face, usually a mask of rigid authority, contorted with a mixture of disbelief and utter bewilderment. "Impossible," he croaked, his voice raw, stripped of its usual power. Beside him, a junior officer, equally stunned, fumbled for words. "But who?" The designated spotter, his voice thick with awe, confirmed the unthinkable. "It's Sharma, sir, from the dismissed list, the one they said couldn't read wind." The murmur swelled, a confused wave of astonishment. Observers frantically rechecked distances, scrutinized equipment, desperate for an explanation that would rationalize the impossible. Anya, oblivious to the commotion, slowly broke her position. Her movements were economical, fluid, the actions of someone who had completed a task, not sought a victory. She slung her rifle, its weight familiar, then turned and walked calmly away from the firing line, leaving behind only the single, perfect puncture mark on the target, her silent, unanswerable declaration. They called her a failure. But one shot, fired in defiance, echoed louder than any insult, forever silencing the doubters. If you've ever been underestimated and found your power in precision, this story is for you. Subscribe to Quiet Soldier Stories, where actions speak louder than words.